Welcome to this training on Article 17, Layoff and Recall. My name is Kathy Fodness, and along with my co-enforcement business agent, Kelly Ahern, we will be walking you through the Article 17 layoff language and try and highlight some of the key components, as long as walking through the layoff flowchart with you. This is a great topic for steward meetings as you share experiences and bring up further questions. Also, you can find the layoff flowchart and this video training on the Steward Toolkit, which is on the MAPE website. We're going to start with Article 17, Section 1, and just some brief comments about the definition language. In this definition, we see that for a full-time employee, a layoff occurs when their hours of work are reduced for longer than 10 consecutive working days. For layoffs, we see other criteria for definitions such as shortage of funds or when a position is abolished.
Labor management cooperation in Section 2 discusses how the layoff information is brought to us. Normally this occurs and starts at meet and confer. We have the ability with this contract language to enter into an MOU with the employer to do a variety of things as listed here. Once the layoff letters are given to the employees, it then becomes an enforcement issue.
Under Section 3, permanent layoff, we're going to look at determination of positions. This language tells you that the appointing authority determines the position, class, or class option, and employment condition that will be eliminated. You'll also see language that shares who is terminated before there are any layoffs. As we move to number 2, advanced notice, this holds some very critical issues of notification. Here you will see the confirmation that this layoff language is applicable to classified service. Make sure to check your supplemental agreements at the back of the contract for any changes or additions to the layoff language. Minnesota State, for example, supplemental has a process for unclassified if their position is eliminated. Not the layoff process, but one that gives them some rights. Also under this language, you will find the rules for layoff letters, including the 21-day rule for written notice. Now moving to number 3, layoff notification. This also is very important. Number 3 covers the basis for layoff, including seniority, employment condition, which as you see in the language are variations of full-time and part-time, and geographic area. Other language addresses the possibility of 80 hours of paid leave for an affected employee and the out of order seniority layoff option that can be agreed to under an MOU.
Article 17 isn't the only article in the contract impacted with layoff language. Here you see Article 15, seniority. This article defines state, classification, and class options with regard to seniority. It also goes on to discuss seniority units, which are also found in Appendix D. This article also includes language on the seniority rosters that come out every May and November. HR has them, or you can find them on the intranet for your agency. Members should be encouraged to look at their roster every time it comes out and not wait if they see any discrepancies. If any discrepancies are found, there is also an appeal process that the employee can follow.
Let's take a look at the layoff flow chart. When a position is eliminated, the employee shall accept a vacancy. And there you see the applicable rules listed, same seniority unit, same class and class option, same employment condition within 35 miles. If they do not accept the vacancy, they are laid off. This is the first option and it's a shall. So if there is a vacancy that meets these rules, either our member has to take the vacancy or they will be laid off. If there is no vacancy, the employee begins to have choices. The first set are within 35 miles. On the left shows the bumping choice and the rules for that choice. On the right, You will see the vacancy option, again showing the rules. If either the bump or the vacancy is chosen, the process stops. If the employee chooses not to bump and has not been offered a vacancy, they are laid off at that point. However, if no bump or vacancy are available, you will see to the left the only option outside of the seniority unit, which is to claim. This is the only option outside of your seniority unit. Claiming has many pieces to it, and it is addressed further within the Article 17. There are following options in which the employee can bump on the left or accept a vacancy on the right in a lower class or class option in which the employee previously served. And then you see also the next set of options, which is to go further into a temporary or part-time. And then the last box talks about unlimited part-time employees being able to bump even if it's in the full-time condition. If none of the options are available or our member has not elected to or to not bump, there are still a couple options left which are over 35 miles. On the left side, you see the option of accepting a vacancy in the same or equal or lower class or class option. Again, it's previously served or for which the employer determines that you're qualified. On the right, you see the bumping option. Again, these are the last two options which are outside of 35 miles.
The flow chart also includes some conditions that govern bumping and vacancies. For example, in all cases, options are restricted to the same seniority unit and employment condition with some exceptions. The second, the employee bumping must have greater classification seniority, and if there is an option, must have either served in it or have been determined eligible by the employer. If an employee does not have enough classification seniority to bump in a previously held classification, they can bump into the next previously held classification. If a vacancy exists in the class option, the employee has to take it if prior to bumping, unless the vacancy is more than 35 miles. And finally, employees with greater classification seniority have the priority in vacancies and bumping. As stewards, we need to be aware of all the rights of our laid off employees. For example, Article 17 talks about layoff lists and recall. Article 20 talks about healthcare. Article 10 discusses vacation. Comp time is found in Article 27. Severance in Article 13. Sick leave in Article 12. And we can also have a discussion with our members about unemployment insurance. We know that they can apply for this benefit a week before their effective date of layoff. It's also good as stewards to remind our members that they still have access to EAP during this difficult situation.
In closing, layoff is a very stressful time for our members. We hope that this training provides you with some general information and a good introduction to this article. Work with your representational team to gain experience and provide support to our members throughout this process. Thank you for your hard work. And again, we hope this was helpful.